Martina, how did you get involved in this project?
I knew the producer, Diane Becker, with whom I had worked twice before, and Model Pictures, with whom I had worked on several projects.
Mm-hmm. Looking at your background and the kind of work you do, you're a very significant documentary filmmaker. You have quite a body of work in documentary film. Is this what you set out to do, pursue, is to work on docs, or?
No, I actually started out in the narrative world.
Yeah.
I worked my way up as an assistant,
Mm-hmm.
camera assistant, and I'm originally from Berlin, so that's why I started as a camera assistant. And then I moved to New York City in ~95 and started to shoot.
Yeah.
Like, back in the days, 60 millimeter, go to universities and pull the paper off the black wall, that kind of thing. So I started out in narrative, and I've done a bunch of features, but
Mm-hmm.
in the last years, I primarily do documentary.
Okay. And how do you like it? Do you like doing documentaries? Do you prefer?
I love documentaries.
Okay.
There's an urgency in documentary. Like, you're there when it happens, and you have to capture it.
Right.
And I also don't treat documentaries so different than I treat narratives. I mean, I always look at I see myself as a storyteller with the camera. That never changes, no matter what you shoot.
Are you operating when you do documentaries?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. My forte is verite docs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I really love to do, and so you have to operate yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you like to use zooms and move quicker, or are you a primes person? Like, what do you?
So I love shooting on primes because, again, there's that narrative element where you have to be on your toes and you have to cover the scene. And I move around a lot when I shoot,
Okay.
except when it's sensitive situations where moving around is disruptive.
Mm-hmm.
And that also answers the question about the lenses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Zooms are really versatile and they really allow you to quickly change frames, but I'm not a big fan of just standing here and zooming in and out. So
Right.
So-
Then you could jump to a prime lens, go in,
Right.
get the kind of shots that
Right.
you want. Now, I noticed that a little bit also that you did a previous doc with President Obama, the final year.
yes, I did.
Yeah, and in that, there's a lot of, you had to catch people in different moments. Like, how long did it take for them to get comfortable around you and let you be there? Because that's sometimes could be a very sensitive, place to be.
I think it took us a long time to break down the barrier of, not so much Obama, because when you shoot with Obama, it's very specific. You don't hang out with him, right?
Right.
He was busy at the time, so
Sure.
he ran the country. But also with Samantha Powers and John Kerry, they're so used to being, to have press around, but press is always very specific, right? They give the press a moment. And again, they're on the country, they're busy. And, we were more like the fly on the wall kind of idea, which sounds crazy when you deal with government, obviously. You're never a fly on the wall. I mean, there's always detail around. They understood the power of the film and gave us as much wiggle room as they could within the parameters of, we're running a country right now while you're shooting. So
Right.
so the detail never goes away, right?
Yeah.
And they literally, there were moments where they were like, you can go up to here, but you can't go to here. And then you push boundaries, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And how's that different from Inventing Tomorrow, where you're working with now, they're not children, but they're kids, right? And you're invading their space in a sense. They're probably not used to having press around at all.
No, and you have to be very careful with that. You want to get the story. But with Inventing Tomorrow, it was always meant to be a character-driven film because Laura Nix, the director, really wanted the audience to understand the world of the kids through their eyes, because it's about environmental issues. And these kids didn't start out, they didn't wake up one morning and said, I want to be a scientist. They looked around and saw what was wrong in their environment and wanted to do something, or at least wanted to understand it.
Right.
And again, it was never meant to be of we're finding the solution, but it was about asking the questions. And these kids asked the difficult questions.
Yeah. Do you find yourself now, because it's digital, do you roll a lot more and just keep going with the footage?
I try not to, because I was looking, I'm pulling selects of my own footage.
Okay.
So I know what it means to deal with large amount of footage.
Yeah.
So I try to be really conscious about rolling and not rolling.
Okay. And then speaking of this way, when you're doing this, planning of where I take the next shot, how much does lighting come into play? Because you're talking about not being able to use a lot of light, so you're using available sources, whatever's in the room.
Oh yeah. You always, look at the light source first. They always try to be, I mean, obviously, backlight is more beautiful than front light, so
Yeah.
you always try to utilize that.
Yeah. Throw the sun behind somebody as much
Exactly.
as you can. But are you able to at least use bounces and negative fill?
Oh
and
yeah,
things
yeah.
like that?
It's not that I never light. I do light, but with documentary it's different. You don't really create. I mean, in the narrative world, you really create everything. Right?
Right.
With documentary, you supplement
Right.
when you shoot on location.
Sure. Are you happy with the way it turned out and how it looks? And
I'm really happy with the film. Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm really happy with it.
yeah. Martina, it was such a pleasure to interview you today. Thank you so much. We're honored to have you here. We
Thank
wish
you very much.
Oh, no problem. We wish you the best of luck on this feature film, and then of course anything else that you do. We really want to see it. So we're looking forward to seeing more work from you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.